Coming up on the Cowboys Report, will Dallas make a run at signing Tyler Eifert, the injury-prone but very talented tight end? There are quite a few things that do make some sense around Eifert and the Cowboys. Speaking of contracts, is Amari Cooper going to get that big money extension, and will it come before Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott? Maybe, maybe not on that one. And then speaking of receivers, did the Cowboys not actually need wide receiver help? I don't think this makes very much sense. I'll break down why coming up on the Cowboys Report. Hello friends, I'm Tom Downey, and you are watching the Cowboys Report presented by BetDSI. We'll kick things off with Tyler Eifert. Is he going to join the Dallas Cowboys? 2 stars on this one, but I do think Eifert makes a lot of sense as a possible free agency target for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, when healthy, Eifert's really good. The problem is that Eifert is almost never healthy. He's missed more games than he's actually played in during his NFL career, but per our friend Bobby Belt, there is some mutual interest between Eifert and the Dallas Cowboys, a former first-round pick out of Notre Dame. There's also, by the way, some familiar things we'll get to here in a second, but you see the production, 2015, really great numbers there, 52 catches, 600 yards, and oh, by the way, 13 TDs. If you want that red zone threat at tight end, Eifert is that guy. The problem is the production is very inconsistent because he's not actually on the field. A litany of injuries for Eifert. Now, the report from Belt is that Eifert is open to playing for the Dallas Cowboys, and in part because his good friend Zach Martin, who, by the way, married Eifert's sister, is with the Dallas Cowboys right now. Now, Martin plans on pushing the front office for Eifert. Of course, he's not going to go on the full scale, if you sign him, I quit or anything like that. But he's going to say, yeah, we should bring in Eifert. He's a good friend there. It makes some sense. And for the Cowboys, they do have some interest in adding tight end help. And Eifert is the exact type of guy the Cowboys should have interest in at the position, likely on a 1-year incentive-heavy deal. Now, Dalton Schultz and Blake Jarwin, those are your 1-2, in really some order for right now. Both young, both with some promise, but neither of them are fully locked in as that, okay, this is our number 1 guy. If Eifert comes in, he does become that guy. Jeff Swaim's a free agent. Rico, well, we know his future is still a big old question mark there. But I love the idea of going after Tyler Eifert. I think he'd be a great fit with the Dallas Cowboys, be a big red zone option there, and he's not a terrible blocker either. So when it comes to the tight end position, who is your top free agent or draft target at the spot? Let me know in the comment section. In terms of feasibility, well, I'm not going to count guys like TJ Hawkinson, but a guy like Eifert, if it is on a 1-year prove-it contract, makes all the sense in the world to me. Now, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use that promo code right there on your screen, Cowboys120. It gets you a 120% deposit bonus. You guys aren't going to find a better deal out there. Chatsports.com/bet and that promo code, Cowboys120, for a 120% deposit bonus. We'll stick with free agency, which is rapidly coming up here for the Cowboys. What about Ty Montgomery? Both Eifert and Montgomery, guys I mentioned on our overall arching views among possible offensive free agents. Bobby Belt also thinks it makes some sense. 2 stars here on this one. Montgomery, again, would be that cheaper type option, almost insurance at the backfield spot. Remember, he's played receiver and running back in the NFL. And if you're the Cowboys, you would at least be kind of intrigued by the possibility of having a guy who, in theory, you could still play on the field at the same time as Zeke Elliott. Rod Smith, Zeke, didn't always quite work in that way. Given that Montgomery used to be a wide receiver, he could definitely fit that role. Now, it's a bit unclear at this point how much interest the Cowboys actually have in Montgomery, but remember, Ty is from Dallas. And if you're from Dallas 99 times out of 100, you end up wanting to play for your hometown team in the Dallas Cowboys. So Montgomery has interest there, but of course, with all things, interest isn't enough. There has to be interest from both parties, and the money has to work out to the correct extent. Now, Rod Smith might not be back, and if that's the case, you've got Zeke Elliott and Darius Jackson and Jordan Shun, who aren't going to strike fear in anyone, God forbid Zeke gets hurt. So running back depth is important there. A guy like Montgomery is someone you could sign to a cheap, likely 1, maybe 2-year deal, not guaranteeing that much money, and still go spend a 4th or 5th or whatever round pick on a back to compete for that number 2 role behind Zeke Elliott. So Montgomery, assuming he's cheap, I think makes some sense. We'll see if the Cowboys, though, feel the same way. Next up, Earl Thomas. Is he only going to come if he's cheap? 2 stars on this one. There's some truth to it, but I don't know if it's all the way true. Now, we do expect the Cowboys to make a run at Earl Thomas, and the price tag does matter. But the report from The Athletic is that the Cowboys are going to be bargain shoppers, and they're not going to spend big in free agency. So again, define bargain. Like, are we talking that the Cowboys aren't going to spend $15 million? If so, well, of course, that's very logical there. Is bargain $5 million? Because if so, I think that they'd spend more. And if bargain ends up fitting around that $10 to $11 million range, then I still think Earl Thomas makes a lot of sense. Now, although the salary cap is not a myth, the Cowboys can still sign Earl Thomas if they want to do so. They can work money around. They can push off extensions for guys like Zeke or Amari or Byron later down the road, restructure deals as they almost always end up doing. So if the Cowboys desperately want Earl Thomas, they can pay him the money. But the Cowboys are not going to throw big money willy-nilly at a safety target. And if they do want to be bargain shoppers, here are some other possible names that are at least cheaper than a guy like Earl Thomas. Trey Boston, Kenny Vaccaro, those two are kind of your second, maybe third tier for Trey Boston. I don't know if they'd end up being a good fit for the Cowboys. George Iloka, a guy you and I, at least many of you out there, wanted to bring in last year when he got cut. Cowboys didn't feel the same way. Glover Quinn is not the same guy he once was, but cheap veteran depth could be intriguing. And Jimmy Ward, who has kind of been the odd man out with the 49ers in terms of, is he a safety, is he a corner, nickel guy? They never really figured out. So what do you want the Cowboys to do at safety? Type C if you want to go cheap at the position, and type T if you just want to bring in Earl Thomas. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Again, I think I might be a little bit more of the middle ground there for Earl Thomas. Now we'll stick here with our contract talk. Is it Amari Cooper extension going to happen first, i.e. before Dak Prescott, before Zeke Elliott? Stick with our common theme here. I'll give it 2 stars. There is some things that make sense here, but I don't know if that's the actual outcome. Now, as we all know, the addition of Cooper was huge for the offense, was a critical factor in the Cowboys' success. And from a perspective of the player-team relationship, the Cowboys have more trust built up with Dak Prescott, with Zeke Elliott. They've been there longer. And the report from Matt Mosley of Dallas Morning News is that might mean the Cowboys feel the need to get the Cooper deal done first, so he's not all unhappy, which I don't really buy. I think Cooper knows, hey, I put up good numbers this year. If they wait to pay me, cool, I'll just end up getting more money. So I think from the Cowboys' perspective, the deal with Dak should still kind of be the top priority there, but then Amari Cooper is second, so at minimum you're getting at least half right there. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm paying Cooper way before I end up paying Zeke Elliott, and it's not because it's a knock on Zeke by any means, but the contract situation is much easier. Amari's deal ends, and then you still have the 5th-year option on Zeke Elliott. So from the Cowboys' perspective, I'd rather get Cooper locked in now, and oh, by the way, the receiver contracts are going to keep rising as well. And if I'm Cooper, I look at, okay, let's see, Odell Beckham makes $18 million per year. I could probably get that, but I'm not maybe going to ask for it. Maybe you give me like the Antonio Brown, Mike Evans type deal, 17, 16 and a half. Cowboys, that's the price tag for a number 1 wide receiver. Yeah, I think the Cowboys can sell to Cooper the, hey, look, man, we believed in you. We traded a first-round pick when no one else would. Maybe give us a bit of a discount. But in the end, Cooper and Dak, both those guys are going to get paid. Now, which player should the Cowboys extend first? And again, you've got some timing here. With Dak Prescott, his deal up after next season. Zeke still has that 5th-year option in addition to next year. And Amari's deal is up next year, too. So type D for Dak, Z for Zeke, and A for Amari. For me, I'm typing in D for Dak. I think he should be the number 1 priority there because you don't want to wait if you believe in Dak Prescott. Contract's only gonna go up. A scheduling change here for you guys. The Cowboys Report, at least on YouTube, will not be live on Thursday as it normally is. It's going to be live on Tuesday. Blame me for having a bachelor party during a Thursday and Friday. So again, subscribe, youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. Make sure you've got notifications turned on. You'll be notified each time we post a new video. And again, stay tuned for Tuesday's live Cowboys Report. We'll do some Q&A as well. More Cowboys rumors. Is Zeke a top 5 player in the NFL? I don't want to sound like I'm a Zeke hater, so I'll give it the 1 star, but I don't really buy this one. And again, it's not a knock on Zeke by any means. He's certainly an elite player. But Bucky Brooks of NFL.com put Zeke in his top 5 players in the NFL and said maybe give him a 3-year fully guaranteed deal, which I'm actually kind of intrigued by if he's still playing at a high level once his deal is up. And Zeke is great, don't get me wrong. But top 5? It feels a little rich for a guy like Zeke A. You're leaving off a lot of impact defensive players, all kinds of receivers. I don't think the NFL community's even sold on Zeke being the number 1 back. He pretty much is for me alongside Todd Gurley. But his top 5 NFL players, at least for Bucky, Aaron Donald, which I very much agree with. I'm on board with Mahomes after how good he was last year. But Zeke at number 3, Hopkins at number 4, I'm not overly hating. And Jalen Ramsey, I didn't think had his best year. I'm kind of surprised he's number 5. So I love Zeke. Top 5, that's just a little too much for me. I think he's in that very much elite range. He's a top 5 back, no doubt. Top 5 player on the Cowboys, but in the NFL, I just don't think that's fair. So speaking of top 5, who are the top 5 players on the Cowboys? Let me know in the comment section. Rank your top 5, 1 to 5, or I guess 5 to 1 if you want to be fun. And go DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney if you guys want to hear my top 5 as well. Zeke, by the way, of course, is in that top 5. As I always do, I am wearing a Mizzen and Main shirt. Go check them out, comfortable.af. You guys aren't going to find a better shirt, any shirt out there, than a Mizzen and Main one. Again, that URL, comfortable.af, because these shirts are indeed comfortable as F. One last rumor that we'll break down here for you guys today. We'll go back to the receiver discussion. Is wide receiver not a need? This was fan-sided and no. What are you guys talking about? Of course receiver is a need. The argument presented was that Cooper and Gallup, they're a solid 1-2, and I agree with that one there. But the claim was that the Cowboys can lose Cole Beasley and it'll be fine. Because the Cowboys have Cedric Wilson and Lance Lenoir, and maybe they could bring back TAVON Austin too, with Austin even almost being like a throw in there. Even if you re-sign TAVON at I assume a very cheap deal because he's not that valuable, at least according to the rest of the NFL, you need receiver help. Cole Beasley has been a big part of your offense the past couple of years, and I like TAVON Austin, but he's never going to be the guy we want him to be. Even in his best years, 2016, 2015, he's been a secondary option. The past 2 years really has not had a big impact in the passing game. Speed, yes. Returnability, yes. TAVON's never going to be the guy we want him to be. And if you're banking on Allen Hurns, who might get cut, okay, maybe Noah Brown. Okay, he's a nice number 4 or number 5 at best. Getting a nice blocker. He's not your number 3 receiver. Cedric Wilson, a guy I like coming out of Boise State, has never played in the NFL and was a 6th-round pick. You can't bank on Cedric Wilson. You can't bank on Lance Lenoir. So if you lose Cole Beasley, yes, receiver is a big need. Cole fit Dak Prescott well. Cole wasn't always used that well. But if you're the Cowboys and you lose Beasley, regardless of what happens with Allen Hurns and TAVON Austin, you better go look in the draft for some more young receiver help. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.